Unless you know my stories, you might think that I don't believe in experiencers or UAPs when I say that these experiences are dreamlike. However, I say that my own dreams about extraterrestrials have told me to question ET dreams and to see if they are indeed dreamlike. I don't know how else to say that a tall gray extraterrestrial mystically compels me to question UAP disclosure and how that even makes sense, but in this podcast, we'll discover how and why. Have you ever woken up caught in the mysterious boundary between dreaming and waking, paralyzed and yet sensing the presence of an otherworldly entity? Or maybe you've been taken by a strange light in the sky, or just slipped out of reality itself, only to be guided back by beings beyond human comprehension. For nearly a century, thousands of people have reported extraordinary encounters: UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrials, and even non-human intelligences. Many of these experiences share one thing in common: a connection to dreams or dreamlike states. What can lucid dreaming reveal about these encounters? What insights might lucid dreaming hold for UAPs, NHIs, and the mysteries they represent? Welcome to the D-SETI podcast, where we explore the intersection of lucid dreaming and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. I'm your host, Daniel Rekshan, a lifelong experiencer and dedicated researcher of profound dreams, strange omens, and mystical encounters. Together, we'll dive into the unknown, journeying deep into the mysteries of lucid dreams and extraordinary contact. I'd like to share one of the strangest, most challenging, and most powerful series of dreams that I've ever dreamed. I know it's a big claim coming from someone who spends their life studying extraordinary dreams. This dream series was so powerful because it blended my dreaming and waking lives through omens that I encountered in waking and dreaming life. If you've been following me, you'll know that I've been in a crisis of faith about UAP disclosure, through which I've questioned essential topics like regression hypnosis, the influence of Robert Bigelow or John Mack on alien abduction research, and the reality of contact experiences as dreamlike. If you don't know who these people are or what these concepts represent for UFOs and UAPs, stick with us throughout this season. We'll explore a number of these concepts. Unless you know my stories, you might think that I don't believe in experiencers or UAPs when I say that these experiences are dreamlike. However, I say that my own dreams about extraterrestrials have told me to question ET dreams and to see if they are indeed dreamlike. I don't know how else to say that a tall gray extraterrestrial mystically compels me to question UAP disclosure and how that even makes sense, but in this podcast, we'll discover how and why. Let's back up for a moment and introduce each of these terms and ideas. After all, this is the prologue to the D-SETI podcast, and it should get you up to speed with all the acronyms like UAP, NHI, or whatever. You probably know what UFO means, unidentified flying object. While the term literally means anything that's both flying and unidentified, it usually means an alien spacecraft or technology from non-human intelligence, which is often called NHI. Non-human intelligence. The term UFO shifted to UAP, which now means unidentified anomalous phenomena. Lou Elizondo, who is a massive figure in the current UAP disclosure movement, described in his book Imminent how credulous intelligence community members rebranded the term UFO into UAP in order to convince Congress to give them money in a world where Congress would never fund UFO research. The term UAP disclosure refers to an idea, a movement, some legislation, and a mythology. You probably are aware that Congress has held hearings about UFOs and that credible people are discussing the reality of UAPs in government, science, and media. In reality, it appears that a small group of people who appear to center around the eccentric billionaire Robert Bigelow have continuously discussed these topics since at least the 1990s when they used the terms alien abduction. Now they use the term NHI and UAP, but we're talking about the same thing. dreamlike encounters with mysterious others who seem to have advanced technology and to treat the laws of physics like their own playthings. The basic idea of UAP disclosure is that extraterrestrial beings, now called NHIs for non-human intelligence, have visited the people of Earth. Some of the time, they crash their ships or have accidents, such that the U.S. government can come in and collect up their technology. While the NHIs appear to visit around 2% of the population, they use mind control technology to prevent experiencers of contact from clearly remembering the contact, although some people claim conscious recall of events. The government, or secret factions within, believe that the public can't handle the truth, so they keep it hidden, or else they keep it secret so they can profit from it. At least this is the mythology of UAP disclosure as it seems presented in the mainstream media today. If you're interested in UAP disclosure, you probably already know the characters and the important documents, but we'll just take a few moments to go over the facts. In 2017, the New York Times published a front-page article on the secret government program to study UFOs, which administered around $22 million in funding. The article was written by Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean, who are central figures in the UAP disclosure movement, as well as Helene Cooper, who hasn't been seen much in the community. The article put forward Lou Elizondo as the director of the secret program, but like many claims in the UAP disclosure movement, it has come under doubt and scrutiny. After the 2017 article, Kean and Blumenthal introduced the UAP whistleblower David Grush in a 2023 article. Grush made history by testifying to UAP disclosure myths under oath to Congress, like the claim that the U.S. government has recovered alien spaceships and bodies. As of 2025, there are more whistleblowers coming forward, yet no physical evidence. The claims are now seeming more and more dreamlike. For example, Jake Barber recently claimed telepathic communion with a non-human intelligence whose craft he was recovering, and also claimed that a team member can psychically fly UFOs through a process he called psionics. Who is this podcast for? This podcast, first and foremost, is for experiencers of the phenomena of non-human intelligence or unidentified anomalous phenomenon contact, or those interested in it. Next, it's for people who are interested in UAP disclosure and the related mythology of alien abduction. Finally, is for people who are interested in the fringe aspects of lucid dreaming and dream research. You don't have to be interested in non-human intelligence contact, lucid dreams, or UAP disclosure to enjoy this podcast, but you are likely interested in one of those topics. You likely have had an experience yourself or know someone who has, so you're trying to understand what exactly is ET-NHI contact and how it relates to our shared world. It's fine if you're just curious too and haven't had your own experience. While the topics of lucid dreaming and NHI contact are advanced and complex, this podcast aims to stay introductory and casual. I will introduce my terms and any key concepts in each episode so that you could drop in at any point in the season. By the end of this season, you should have an understanding of lucid dreaming, NHI contact, and how they relate to UAP disclosure. You should understand my hypothesis that ET-NHI contact is both dreamlike and real, best understood as a shamanic or psionic skill. You should then be in a position to test any hypothesis through the laboratory of your own dream experience and be able to contribute to research efforts. There's 1,000 other researchers who can tell you all about the politics, the whistleblowing, and the specific claims about cases. I have a unique set of interests that is based on two experiences. First, I'm a lifelong experiencer of what I thought could be UFO abduction, but what is actually shamanic human dreaming, which is absolutely normal but confuses Western scientists and researchers because Western religious empires spent centuries destroying this indigenous human ability. I know what it's like to be taken from sleep, placed in technological crafts that can control your mind, interact with cosmic beings, and integrate these experiences into my daily life. Yet I know that these experiences ultimately come from myself and are mediated by my dreaming mind. Second, I'm an integral researcher and a PhD student. I'm educated in East-West psychology from the California Institute of Integral Studies, as well as in the classical liberal arts from St. John's College in Annapolis. Integral research is all about integrating subjective and objective perspectives, materialism and spirituality, and quantitative and qualitative research. One of the fundamental tools of my discipline is literature review and criticism. For example, if I am writing a paper on UAP disclosure, I would need to incorporate credulous and skeptical perspectives, as well as my own experience and the experience of others. In this light, I'm particularly curious about the literary history of UAP disclosure, which seems deeply connected to alien abduction lore through the disclosure reporters Blumenthal and Kane, who were both intimately connected with alien abduction researchers that Robert Bigelow funded in the 1990s. You see how all these threads are already coming together. What is the connection between UAP disclosure in the 2020s with 1990s alien abduction research? I say that a confusion regarding an as-of-yet unacknowledged phenomena associated with lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis may be a cause for UAP disclosure claims and the connection between those claims and alien abduction research. I say that the dream world is real, that some dream characters are as real as you and me. I say that sometimes they can reach out to us in sleep or even into our physical world through our dreaming minds, which is not limited to sleep. I say that they can sometimes reach out to us, oftentimes only in dream, but sometimes into our shared physical world, which confuses Western materialist scientists. Many experiencers, especially UFO abductees, describe their experiences as dreamlike. Most researchers say that their experiences are not dreams because they are real, as evidenced by shared witnessing or physical evidence. All I'm saying is that it can be both a dream and real at the same time. If NHI contact is dreamlike, then that explains why the memories are so weird. It explains why we can work with these memories. It explains why we can make sense of the wild stories of contact. Of course, saying that contact is both real and dreamlike would mean flipping the world on its head and admitting that consciousness is primary and the world is made up of mind and not necessarily matter. My hypothesis is deceptively simple, but it has been hard for me to communicate. I wrote 4 books on the subject, which I call the D-SETI quadrilogy. I produced hundreds of YouTube videos about it. I worked with dozens of experiencers in hypnosis and dreamwork sessions about it. I've been most successful with my session work because there's been such a deep connection that happens, and almost everyone who works with me intuitively knows that dreams are involved with NHI contact. I'm producing this podcast series as yet another way to communicate this one simple hypothesis. ET, NHI contact, and regression hypnosis about it are fundamentally both real and dreamlike. This podcast will be structured in seasons. The first season will be about lucid dreaming. Each episode will explore a topic about lucid dreaming and will present one of my lucid dream experiences. Topics include how to lucid dream, the science of lucid dreaming, and statistical reports about lucid dreams that are reported online. The podcast will have a loose story arc that will circle around my hypothesis that NHI contact is dreamlike. The first season will explore lucid dreams. The second will explore hypnosis and dreamwork in service to alien abduction and UAP contact. And the third will explore the connection of dreaming with UAP disclosure through the history of alien abduction and present-day focus on psionics or remote viewing. The podcast will be more personal than my other content. If you'd like a scholarly presentation of any of my ideas or work, go to D-SETI.org and check out my books or articles. It's important to offer a few disclaimers. First, I'm discussing dreams, which are often triggering or taboo, so please be warned. It may not be the right time for you in your journey to explore these topics, and that's totally fine. Similarly, I'm talking about alien abduction, which is also triggering. Some researchers warn people that their own abduction trauma might come up if they explore abduction tales, but I think that's actually an ungrounded suggestion. You might have imaginal experiences that feel like recovered memories of traumatic alien abduction, but I'm not sure if those are false memories or suggested imaginal experiences or real memories. If you're sensitive about the reality or trauma of your UAP NHI contact experience, just know that I will put forward the hypothesis that your abduction trauma is dreamlike, which is often offensive to some people, even though I take care to explain why and how dreams are real and the benefits of thinking about contact as dreamlike, as well as the literary reasons why, including the very definition of UFO abduction syndrome. At D-SETI, I look to the ethics and epistemology of dream work as published by the International Association of the Study of Dreams. The most important ethical principles of dream work are respect of the dreamer as the final authority regarding the significance or interpretation of the dream, as well as the respect of the dream as a multidimensional source of meaning. Therefore, in anything I say, I am trying to respect the interpretation of the experiencer and to make conclusions that leave as much room for interpretation. That means I'm saying your contact experience is dreamlike, but it may be real, it may be objective, it may be subjective. I'm saying that we need to look to you as the experiencer to offer an interpretation of what that means. In each episode, I will present one dream from the most powerful dream series I've experienced about ET NHI contact and lucid dreaming. I've spent the last 4 years talking about my hypothesis, literature reviews, geometric analysis, and hypnosis and dream work with people, but not a lot of time talking about my own contact experiences, although I've included them as a part of my commitment to integral research. In the summer of 2024, I created a lucid dreaming course, followed it myself with my intention to gain insight about NHI contact and dreams, and produced an illustrated dream book. I'd like you to understand the context of this dream book before we dive in, and before we do that, I'd like to start with an imagination. Imagine that you're a scientist and that you're studying an octopus in a room full of aquariums with other fish. You start noticing that fish go missing in various aquariums throughout the room, but you can't figure out why. The doors and the windows are locked. The fish aren't flopping out and onto the floor. But sometimes there's a little water on the floor. Eventually, you put up cameras and discover that your octopus can climb out of their aquarium, walk to the other aquariums, climb in, go fishing, and then come back. My experience last summer was kind of like the scientists discovering that their octopus could walk. But instead of eating fish, the octopus was arranging sophisticated communications and interactions between people, places, dreams, and omens. The octopus in this case are my dream characters, and the aquarium, I suppose, are my dream, and I am the scientist. This metaphor is particularly apt for me because a telepathic cephalopod, a cuttlefish in the National Aquarium in Washington, D.C., started my journey of extraordinary dream learning. While I was walking through an empty hallway in the National Aquariums, I came to an empty room lined with aquariums and a single cuttlefish floating at eye level. It flashed and danced, entrancing my mind. I opened myself up to its communication and received a full transmission, which people now call downloads. I fully acknowledge that I leaned into the experience with looking at the flashing of the cuttlefish light, hoping to see compassion or empathy or connection through those strange eyes, and yet the experience was ultimately real. I channeled the transmission into an illustrated book called The Mysteries of Babylon, which retells Sumerian creation myths from a perspective of an eternal cuttlefish. Let me read a little from the book. The book starts with watercolor imagery of a cuttlefish. You see the water and a little bit of the cuttlefish, and on this page it goes, "All was unformed before names and fate and desire, beyond any category of thought, outside of space and time, not subject to the either or is/is not. Creation stories pass from individual to individual. Then on this next page, we see the eye of the cuttlefish looking straight at you, and the text reads, "It is a mystery that creation occurs and bridges the one and the many, the eternal and the mortal, the beyond and the mundane." So now we see a cuttlefish looking magical, like a wizard in a robe, standing up and out of the water. And the text reads, "The unformed and the unnamed primordial must be the source of the differentiated splendors of the cosmos." And then we get to the next page, which is just almost a blending of the sky and waters and the horizon line. "The primordial must consist in the duality of generator and the ground of generation. First, they were called Tiamat and Apsu by the Babylonians, then spirit and water by the people of the book, now void and chaos. The primordial generated the primal. Again, a mystery. The primal is one and first, yet second and dual." And it goes on like this, showing images of cuttlefish, of Adam and Eve, of genetic manipulation, of flying through the sky, and all sorts of things. Clearly, some wires got crossed in the communication, but it kicked off a journey. I received another 6 or so books from downloads on topics of eternity, dreams, magic, and spiritual renaissance, which you can check out at D-SETI.org. Writing these books built rapport between me and whatever was their source. It guided me to the idea to collect and analyze dreams using internet technology. So I taught myself web software engineering, got a master's degree in psychology, trained in hypnosis, and generally made their goals my goals. However, I struggled to make a living following my dreams. In 2020, I realized that I had a divided interest. One part of me followed my dream guidance, but another part felt compelled to be financially successful as a tech worker. I realized that I needed to accept my vocation, even if that led to poverty, and to fully embody my destiny. I said a prayer to be of service according to my destiny and desire to support ET and HI experiencers with hypnosis and dream work. I was immediately guided to my practice, started working with dozens of experiencers, joined a PhD program, and then wrote my books like Missing Time Found. Right after I started my hypnosis and dream work practice, I was invited to join 2 different startup projects that were deeply related to my vocation. I thought it was the world responding to support my vocation. In one project, I helped build a new age online community dedicated to citizen science exploration of ET and HI contact, an anomalous phenomenon like spoon bending, which is a community now called LightNet. In the other project, I helped build a mobile app dedicated to helping users sleep, dream, and be well through dream and mindfulness practice and education, which is called DreamWell. At the same time as these projects, my family welcomed 2 new babies, and I have had to step back from both to support my family. My work with DreamWell inspired me to dream this powerful dream series that I'm about to share with you. Last summer in 2024, the DreamWell team realized that our branding and focus would not bring in as many users as we needed to be successful as an app. We focus on well-being through sleep, dream, and mindfulness practice, which the team felt wasn't exciting or focused enough to compete with other phone apps like TikTok. The DreamWell team suggested that we pivot to focus only on lucid dreaming. We thought it would be better to effectively market to people searching for one term than ineffectively market to several different terms. The pivot appeared to be easy because we already had a lot of dream and mindfulness content. However, I don't make an active practice of lucid dreaming because I have mixed thoughts about the concept in general. However, as Chief Dream Officer of DreamWell, it was my responsibility to demonstrate and develop expertise in lucid dreaming. Therefore, it was my task to lucid dream enough that I could teach others about it and establish myself as a guide in the topic. I had been skilled in lucid dreaming in the past, but let that lapse through my education and becoming a young father and all of those things. Personally, I don't like quantifying my sleep. I don't believe lucid dream control is the pinnacle of dreaming, and I could care less if I could move my eyes like the original lucid dream researchers did to prove that lucid dreaming exists. Rather, I use lucid dreaming as part of my creative art practice and as a source for spiritual guidance. I made an empty journal of art paper, then committed to recording and illustrating my lucid dream journey. As a way to be true to myself in lucid dream research and practice, I committed to making an art book. I made an empty journal of art paper, then committed to recording and illustrating my lucid dream journey. I called the book Liber Visionorum Xenomanticarium. That's acronymed as LVX, because I saw the activity as a magical practice to connect me with the ET NHI entities who I work with. LVX is a code word in Western esoteric practices, and the phrase Liber Visionorum Xenomanticarium means something like the Book of Extraterrestrial Visions. The subtitle of this book is Magiae Secretum Magnum, which is an ode to John Dee, and it means the great secret of magic. John Dee once wrote that prophetic dreams were the great secret of magic. John Dee is a huge figure in Western esoteric thought and maybe a big subject of season 2 in the D-SETI podcast. But for now, let's get back to my practice with lucid dreaming, which worked. I established a habit of creating illustrations from my lucid dreams. However, dreams, particularly lucid dreams, are not neutral objects. Dreams impact waking life, just like waking life impacts dreams. Having powerful dreams means that there may be powerful changes in waking life. Remember back to the scientist and the octopus. The octopus took action at night that changed the scientist's waking world, but it had no idea how. Eventually, the scientist recorded what happened at night and discovered that the octopus had unacknowledged skills and intelligence. In the metaphor, if I were the scientist, I would have learned to communicate with the octopus through these dreams. Just as the scientist would be compelled to communicate their discovery that the octopus walks, so too am I compelled to share my discoveries about dreaming. The dreams changed my life in so many ways. Rather than explain them to you, I'll just read an email I wrote during that time. I run a monthly dream group that I sent this email to. If you're into these topics, you'll likely enjoy the group, and you can find out more at D-SETI.org. In August 2024, the chaos of life distracted me, and I forgot about the dream group until the day of the dream group, and I realized I couldn't make it. So I wrote the email to share where I was. Here is that email. No dream group tonight, likely next week. Dear Dreamer, I need to reschedule the dream group to next week. I'll send another email when I confirm with my wife our plans. I'll just use this email as a dream journal of sorts, then go to bed. A few of you reached out to me and reminded me it was Thursday and there was dream group. The last few weeks pushed my family into a dream journey. I presented at the first annual EnakiaCon, which was an online conference about Enakian magic. I had meant to reschedule our last group for after the conference, but lightning sparked a wildfire 4 kilometers up the mountain from us. It was crazy. There was a dry lightning storm that caused several more fires in the valley. A black bear came out of the forest and camped across the street and next door for a few days as we packed up for a trip to find a new home because our landlord is selling the place. We were put on evacuation alert and then we left town. At some point in the pack up, I needed to service the water pump by the creek. The floor collapsed and I fell into the underworldly muck underneath the rotted floorboards. When I climbed out, I was reborn into Dream Journey. The world was on fire and the pump was totally out of service, making our house indefensible to fire. I saw trees catch fire and explode like fireworks on the hill. We bought a trailer, loaded up our camp gear, and headed somewhere safe. We drove as far as we could to Calgary, but the entire town of Jasper burned and the road was closed. Our town was almost on fire. Our way to our in-laws was on fire, and the valley we intended to visit was on fire. We ended up camping on the driveway of friends whose son was ran over and killed on that driveway 6 months earlier to the day. Right as we were setting up our tent, our host's best friend came over. We noticed that our trailer tire was dangerously bald and deformed, which 3 people, including my hobbyist mechanic father-in-law, looked over and didn't see. It turns out that her husband is a trailer mechanic, so they took it for a few days. We decided to store most of our stuff in Salmon Arm, which is the town where anomalous ice circles associated with CE5 put Dan Berg in the local news, who was my first missing time hypnosis client and now a friend. My work with Dan inspired most of my missing time ideas. Our CE5 together inspired the Book of Galactic Light. Our first dream group taught me that some precognitive dreams can guide you to take an action, like a dream loop that has an inevitable conclusion. Placing my 4 D-SETI books into a storage locker next to the lake where the ice circles appeared seemed to complete a precognitive or retrocausal dream loop. It was confirmed to me by a synchronistic omen. The father of the departed son recently did a combo ceremony, which is a shamanic ceremony involving burning small wounds in the skin, then placing frog poison in it. His markings went down his arm, on which he had an encircled pentagram tattoo. The proportions of his tattoo and his combo scars were strikingly familiar. The proportion of his tattoo and the combo scars were strikingly similar to a figure in my book about anomalous body marks, dreams, and alien encounters. I called the figure the key to the red grid mark phenomenon because of a variety of reasons. It was the only figure that I did not produce a geometric observation for, which I left incomplete out of a sense of irony, mystery, and invitation. A further omen was that his other arm involved totemic bear imagery, and his departed son was nicknamed Bear. I have received 4 anomalous geometric body marks associated with dreams, which I called dial, dots in a line. The only one that I remember a character marking my body involved a bear, which happened on my brother's birthday, who my wife used to describe our host because of their similarity. I feel humbled by the dreams and dedicate my action and service to the dreams that heal, inspire creativity, and connection. I completed a new book, an illustrated dream book called Liber Visionorum Xenomanticarium on the driveway on the anniversary with a reference to a dream of a car accident. The time and place of the events were unbeknownst to me before the dreams and the books. Had I known the details, I would not have made art at that time or place. The book completed. Then I placed the other books in storage at the location of the first documented anomaly that set the D-SETI quadrilogy in motion. I have dreamed many dreams that call me and my family on a greater journey, which may include you if that is part of your dream. Everyone in place around us is now safe from the fires for the moment. We arrived back home in the early morning. The rains calmed all the fires in our valley, although I hear a firefighting helicopter over the house at the moment. We need a few days to sort ourselves out, then I will reschedule our group. So that was a letter I sent to my monthly dream group to explain why and how I was rescheduling our August 2024 dream group because of the impact of omens of fire and bears and body marks and precognitive dreams in my life. So I think I'm still sorting myself out from the dreams last summer. The point of the dreams, as best as I can tell now, was about the risk of harmful false memories associated with ET and HI contact and hypnosis, which will be the subject of the next season. Dream omens speak through association and imagination and connection. They are not clear. If you do not see how my dreams and the omens relate, that's totally fine. Throughout this season, we'll explore lucid dreaming in general to give you experience with your own dreams and your own language of omens. The dreams in this series were also about the difference between powerful dreams and our popular conception of lucid dreaming. Just as there is confusion about hypnosis and false memory, so too is there confusion about dreaming and lucidity. My dream guides deeply and clearly want me to address these confusions. I'm trying my best, but I'm confused too. So I just have to follow my dream guidance. It's been hard for me because it's been a lot to integrate. My relationship with my PhD program, Dreamwell the app, and my clients have shifted because I am shifting. I stopped recording most of my dreams after the LVX illustrated book. I just started again last week, and I've had a clear series of dreams of Galathog the Grey, my extraterrestrial dream guide. He has taught me all about telepathy. He says it's time to move on from concerns about false memories into discussions about dreams themselves. That's why I'm presenting this dream series. The first season of the D-SETI podcast will present the contents of 2 works that I produced last summer about lucid dreaming. I've already mentioned my dream book, Liber Visionorum Xenomanticarium. I created the book by following my own advice and teachings about lucid dreamings that I created for Dreamwell, the mobile app. As part of that creative process, I produced about 15,000 words of YouTube scripts to teach about lucid dreaming and communicate dream stories that I am reworking to form segments of this podcast. Each episode will have a segment about lucid dreaming, including how to lucid dream, the science of lucid dreaming, and statistics about lucid dreaming. I hope that my experience in teaching will help you connect with your own dreams for your own benefit and the benefit of your community. But when life changes, don't say I didn't warn you. Here's the first page from the Liber Visionorum Xenomanticarium dream book. The art on this page is abstract watercolor, suggesting of a landscape, perhaps in the mountain. In the sky, there's a geometric figure emanating light, and the text is all throughout the page. It reads, I dreamed of the same confluence of energy every night for months. It is different every night because I am different. Each night I learn more about this brave new world of dreams. Last night I created a lens with my imagined intent, and I saw all past and future, and I choose the one in which I remembered to forget. If you want to know how I interpret this dream myself, or how you might interpret lucid dreams for yourself, you'll have to tune in to our next episode. In the next episode, we'll explore the topic, what is lucid dreaming? If you find this content valuable, please like, subscribe, and share, as that will help me produce more content. Thank you for your interest in lucid dreaming, NHI contact, and UAP disclosure. May you dream well.